Hey friends, this is Audie Cornish, host of CNN This Morning and The Assignment, and guess what? Every story you care about, every angle you want unpacked is now streaming on CNN. That means you can catch my show or other CNN programming whenever you want on your favorite device. And a subscription also gets you access to exclusive video series and unlimited articles. So subscribe to CNN at cnn.com/subscription.
Once upon a mundane morning, Barb's day got busy without warning. A realtor in need of an open house sign. No, 50 of them, and designed before 9.
My head hurts.
Any mighty tools to help with his plight? Aha! Barb made her move. She opened Canva and got in the groove.
Bulk creating Canva sheets. Create 50 signs fit for suburban streets.
Done in a click, all complete.
Sweet!
Now, imagine what your dreams can become when you put imagination to work at canva.com.
This 80s flick is to All Hallows Eve what A Christmas Story is to Christmas. A true classic deserving a 24-hour marathon and a wild all-night celebration where blood takes the place of alcohol. Director Tom Holland's heartfelt homage to vampire movies breathed new life into a horror subgenre that was sadly starting to fade away, much like an undead creature of the night. It brought the vampire back into the spotlight, setting the stage for other nostalgic blood-sucking hits of the era, such as The Lost Boys, Near Dark, and Bram Stoker's Dracula. So grab your binoculars, a crucifix, and a garlic necklace as Chris Adams and I discuss Fright Night from 1985 on this special Halloween episode of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. Happy Halloween, everyone, and welcome to the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. I am your host, Tim Williams. Tonight, we're peeking through the curtains at our new next-door neighbor, and something is terribly wrong, but so right for an 80s horror classic. To help me investigate, I needed a co-host who's a real vampire killer who isn't afraid to confront the darkness. Please welcome to Fright Night, for real, Chris Adams from Retro Life for You podcast. How you doing, Chris?
I am great. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Yes, always good to have you on the show. And this is one that you've actually covered on your podcast as well. So go back and check out his episode as well.
And it's one of my favorite horrors from the 80s.
Oh,
definitely.
For sure. I think this time last year, I was like, I've got to do this one next year. We had run through all of the Halloween films at the end of last year. So I was like, now I can get into some other horror movies that I actually watched when I was younger. So, but while we're talking about that, when did you see Fright Night for the very first time?
Well, it was on a cable channel.
Okay.
I don't know if it was HBO or not, but it was on a cable movie channel. And then from that, I was hooked on it. And then, you know, every so often it would be one of the movies we rented on a weekend for like a good scare film or something.
Yeah.
It was easier to get my mom to rent Fright Night than it was Friday the 13th or, Elm Street or something.
Yeah, this one's not quite it. It really doesn't get into like the scary, like what we call scary stuff, like the horror stuff, until closer to the end. So there's a lot of story kind of build up at the beginning, a few little, creepy things and a few like jump scares, but it's not really a slasher. There's not a lot of blood. There's not a lot, that kind of stuff. So yeah, this was much more palpable for me as a younger kid who was not a big horror movie person, but really enjoyed it. So yeah, I couldn't remember if I saw this on cable first or if we rented it first. But either way, I watched it a lot. I'm pretty sure I recorded the TV version when it came on TV, which edited some stuff, but it wasn't like, I don't remember it being like heavily edited, like, because it's not, once again, it's not really bloody. There's not a lot of gore necessarily. It's just kind of like, it's more of a creature feature. It's more like that monster movie where it's more like gives you chills kind of like the intensity, but it's not like gory, scary. So
I could probably think of a couple of scenes that were edited out for television.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, it would still been I don't
You
wanna
can
say
still
it
follow the story
yeah,
pretty
you
well.
could very much follow the story, absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah. So how long has it been since you rewatched it before rewatching it for the podcast tonight?
Just last year, actually, when we covered it last year,
Oh yeah,
I was I
that
was
makes sense.
looking to I was trying to find where I could stream it, and I couldn't find
Mhm.
anywhere to stream it. The new version they remade was available
Yeah.
to stream, but I wasn't wanting that one, so I ended up buying it on Vudu, Fandango at Home, whatever you want to refer to it as these days. And
Right.
I bought it on there and I watched it then.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it had to have been on one of the streamers probably about 5 or 6 years ago. It might have been on Prime is what I'm kinda thinking it might have been on, because I think it does pop up on there, but it's never on there for, like, it's only on there for, like, maybe a month. It's not on there for, like, a long period of time. And so I remember watching it then and was like, I remember, it reminded me how much I loved it. And so then I watched it again, I think, last year. I might have rented it then to watch it again, and then I bought it on I found it on Blu-ray within the last year. And once I got the Blu-ray, I was like, I have to do it for the podcast this time. So it was fun to put in the Blu-ray yesterday and rewatch it again. So it had been a while, but let's jump into story origin and pre-production.
All right.
So we mentioned him before, screenwriter. He was a screenwriter at the time, Tom Holland, and not the same Tom Holland that we know as Spider-Man or, Peter Parker. But
Peter Parker.
screenwriter Tom Holland first conceived the idea for Fright Night while writing Cloak and Dagger, another great underrated 80s movie, amusing himself with the premise of a horror movie fan becoming convinced that his new neighbor is a vampire. But the idea stalled right there. As Holland put it, what's he going to do? Everybody's going to think he's mad. That single problem kept the story percolating in his mind for an entire year. The breakthrough finally came when Holland was discussing the idea with a studio executive. It suddenly clicked. Of course the kid wouldn't go to the police. He's obsessed with horror movies, so he'd seek the help from his local TV horror host. The minute Holland conceived the character of Peter Vincent, the great vampire killer, he knew he had the story. Charlie Brewster was the engine, but Peter Vincent was the heart. With that key character unlocked, the script flew out of him. Holland wrote the first draft in just 3 weeks, claiming he was literally on the floor kicking his feet in the air in hysterics the entire time. He was also determined to direct this one himself, as he was deeply disheartened by what had been done to his previous screenplay, Scream for Help, which I've never heard of. Holland had built up enough clout from writing Class of 1984, Psycho 2, and Cloak and Dagger that Columbia Pictures agreed to quote-unquote take a chance on the hot screenwriter kid, never figuring Fright Night would become the massive hit that it was. Once the cast was in place, Holland, who began his career as an actor, gave them the luxury of 2 full weeks of rehearsal. They blocked out every scene and performed the entire film like a stage play, even writing detailed biographies of their characters to fully grasp their motivations. Because of the intense preparation, all the kinks in the story and performances were ironed out before filming even began. When the cameras finally rolled, Holland was so prepared, he often only needed 1 or 2 takes of a scene before moving on. Which I think is pretty cool. Being a first-time director to have your cast and crew like that on it is pretty good. So, and I think it comes across well. Like I've noticed that in movies where I've done the research and find out they did like extensive rehearsals before a movie. It's like you can instantly see the chemistry immediately. Like it's not as, I mean, there's some people that have that natural chemistry, but like everybody in this cast really clicked really well. You could tell they were playing off each other really well.
I agree.
Yeah. So we're going to jump into the cast, and it's not a long cast, but because I mentioned they all had to write these biographies. So there's all this cool stuff about the characters that they came up with and kind of like how they got cast and stuff. So we're going to kind of deep dive a little bit. That's why the storage room pre-production, I kind of tried to keep it kind of short because we'll get into it, but let's jump into casting. Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandridge, the vampire. He's well known for playing Prince Humperdinck in The Princess Bride in 1987, which we've covered already. He also played Detective Mike Norris in Child's Play in 1988. He was also the speaking voice of Jake Skellington in The Nightmare Before Christmas. He was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his performance in Dog Day Afternoon 1975. So Chris Sarandon's agent gave him a copy of the script, and he replied, "There's no way I can do a horror movie." But he decided to give the script a once-over and was immediately captivated by the thought. was captivated by it. He said, "I thought this was one of the best scripts I've read in a long time. Beautifully constructed, it was obvious that this was a labor of love. It was clear that the writer-director's approach to it was one of wanting to have fun with the genre without making fun of it, and the characters were beautifully drawn." I agree. Sarandon was worried about being typecast as a villain, but the script resonated with him because the story was deeper than just an average monster movie. He said, "Forgetting about vampirism, what this film is about on one level is an older man trying to take a younger man's girl away from him. Although he liked the screenplay, Sarandon was still leery of working with a first-time director, so he flew to L.A. to meet Tom Holland and producer Herb Jaffe? Guess something like that. Herb Jaffe? Holland and he had an immediate rapport and went on to make several more movies after, and Sarandon was awed that Holland had the film so completely mapped out that he literally described the movie shot by shot all the way through, page by page, scene by scene. It was basically the way he shot it. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I like that he was kind of hesitant to take the part, but I can't see anybody else playing the part now. Like, he is so good as the vampire. I mean, just thinking about it, he may not be my favorite on-screen vampire, but he's definitely like the top three or four.
I mean, definitely believable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when during the movie, when you watch, when he's just methodically walking toward Charlie. And get that calmness about him as he's speaking to him and what he's got to what he's going to do.
Yeah.
When he first catches him in his room that night after he'd been invited in by the mom. So now he come visit. He says, "Matter of fact, I'll come visit anytime I like. If it's okay with your mom, of course."
Right.
And then just comes in there and just, "Be quiet, Charlie. We don't want to wake your mom. We'd have to kill her too, wouldn't we?" It's just a little bit of evilness about him, just a little bit of evilness, but still at the same time, that little confident cockiness to him that he knows Charlie is pretty much his for the taking. But he does really well with it.
Yeah, he's definitely got like the swagger and the suave, but still very menacing. Like, he plays that duality like very well. So originally written, Jerry Dandridge was more villainous. So Sarandon tried to find various ways to humanize the vampire, including suggesting the implication that the Amy character was a reincarnation of his long-lost love. He said, "I wanted to give the audience something to hold on to in terms of understanding this is someone who at one time, and still is in certain respects, a thinking, feeling human being. This is a man who's been hunted for his post-human existence, but has fallen in love a number of times and who is, in a sense, longs for a normal existence." Sarandon also did research into bats and discovered that most of the world's bats populations are frugivores, so he concluded Jerry had a lot of fruit bat in his DNA. This explains why his character is frequently munching on apples, which Sarandon decided his character was using to quote-unquote cleanse his palate after draining blood from his victims, which I think is cool. Like, that's just a cool little nod to add on there. Like, why is he eating apples all the time? Because he's got to clean his palate, you know. I just thought that was a cool. I just
got done with the Bloody Mary. Yes, her name was Mary. Can I have an apple, please?
Right. He likes the green ones, the green apples. Yeah. That tart. Yeah, so nothing bad to say about Chris Sarandon. Perfectly cast in this movie for sure.
I agree. Couldn't have got much better.
All right, then moving down to Charlie Brewster, played by William Ragsdale. He is known for playing Charlie Brewster in this one and its sequel, Fright Night Part 2, which came out in 1988. He's also well known as playing Herman Brooks on the TV series Herman's Head from 1991 to 1994 on the early years of Fox. And I remember watching Herman's Head. That was a fun show. Like, that was Inside Out before there was Inside Out.
That was the night where they'd have Herman's Head. They'd have the Tracy Ullman show, the Gary Shandling show.
Yep.
There was another show. I can't remember what it was called. It's like they were realtors or something along those lines, and they were a married couple. I could see the two people standing out in my mind, but I can't think of the name of it to save my life. But I do remember those days of early Fox TV.
Remember Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Yeah,
of course, in Living Color. But yeah, Herman's Head was one that I really liked. I enjoyed that one. So William Ragsdale actually auditioned to portray Rocky Dennis in Mask, but he lost the role to Eric Stoltz. Casting director Jackie Birch remembered his audition, though, and thought he would be the right person to portray Charlie Brewster. Ragsdale auditioned several times and ultimately received the news that he had landed the part on Halloween night in 1984, beating out several other future stars like Charlie Sheen. Now, when I saw that, I was like, okay, that must be one of those little rumors that people just want to put somebody that was famous at the time. But I found another spot where Tom Holland actually commented on it. He said they didn't go with Charlie Sheen because, quote unquote, Charlie Sheen was a hero type. Ragsdale, in playing Charlie Brewster, was the guy next door. And I can see that. Like,
Right.
Charlie Sheen, and yeah, I mean, he's played kind of like the normal kid, but he has a different way of carrying himself. So I think Billy Ragsdale, William, however you want to call it, Ragsdale, he really personified that kid next door more so than I think Charlie Sheen would have.
Definitely.
But yeah, he was good. I mean, I liked him as a character and an actor.
You know,
I'm surprised he didn't do more than that.
If I was to pick somebody other than Ragsdale at the time who wasn't really the hero type at the time anyway, but wasn't Robert Downey Jr. around that time as well doing a few things?
Yeah, but that's not really the character he was playing. He was still kind of not swarmy, but he was kind of the mouthy character. You know, he was still kind of like, he was really more of a sidekick character.
Would he have been a better Evil Ed than he would have Charlie?
Yeah, he would have been a better Evil Ed for sure. Sorry, I needed to sip on my water. So, water, yeah. And then we got Roddy McDowall as Peter Vincent. McDowall played Cornelius and Caesar in the original Planet of the Apes film series, as well as Galen in the short-lived spin-off television series. His other notable film roles included Orson Welles' Macbeth in 48, The Longest Day in 62, Cleopatra in 63, The Greatest Story Ever Told in 65, That Darn Cat in 65, Inside Daisy Clover 65. He did a lot of 65. Bedknobs and Broomsticks in 71, The Poseidon Adventure 72, The Black Hole in 79, and Overboard in 87, and A Bug's Life in 1998. So he's, very well known. The Peter Vincent character was named after horror icons Peter Cushing and Vincent Price, and Holland specifically wrote the part for Vincent Price. But at this point in his career, Price had been so badly typecast that he had stopped accepting roles in horror movies. Guy McElwain, the head of Columbia Pictures, suggested Roddy McDowall for the part. McDowall had already starred in the Holland Penn film Class of '84, so Holland was immediately receptive to the suggestion. He said he understood the part and he also understood what he could do with it, and he really wanted it. McDowall was particularly interested in the genesis of the character. He said, in the film, I performed as being in my late 20s or early 30s in the film clips of my old movies all the way up to my 60s when I'm this washed up has-been. I'd never played anything that old. Holland and McDowall built a lasting friendship, and McDowall eventually invited Holland to a dinner party where he introduced him to Vincent Price, who was flattered that the part was an homage to him and commented that the film was wonderful and he thought Roddy did a wonderful job, which I think is pretty cool. The only thing, watching it in like better HD quality, the only thing I don't like about his character is how fake gray his hair looks.
Yeah.
Like it just looks like it's just, white shoe polish in his hair. Like it just doesn't look natural at all.
Can I tell you something funny about the whole Peter Vincent character? I'm sure everybody who listens to your podcast is more than familiar with Thriller by Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, yeah.
I don't know why I always wanted to say that. I would always say this, but when I would think of Thriller, I would think of the end of it where the guy's doing the overlay to it. He's reading over the stuff, standing face downs of hell, rocked inside a corpse shell. I was like, that's Peter Vincent. That's Peter Vincent on Michael Jackson's Strong. That's what that is. That's awesome. And the whole time I am meaning Vincent Price.
Yeah.
But I'm calling him Peter Vincent.
Yeah. Well, at that age, the age we saw this, we probably knew Peter Vincent more than we knew who Vincent Price was.
Most likely, and it stood out in my head because I really liked the movie, and it just stood
of course,
out.
yeah.
And so I'm just telling everybody, it's that Peter Vincent right there, man. He's cool. Guess who wasn't cool?
He's the great vampire hunter. Yeah. So McDowall also did a lot of work on his character and made a conscious decision to pattern his performance like the cowardly lion in The Wizard of Oz, which I totally see.
Yeah.
He said, my part is that of an old ham actor. I mean, a dreadful actor. He realizes it, but doesn't want to admit it. He has a moderate success in an isolated film here and there, but all very bad product. The poor guy just played the same character all the time, which was awful, and then he disappeared from sight 15 years beforehand. He's been peddling these movies to late-night TV, various syndicated markets, so he'd go 6 months in Iowa, 6 months in Podunk. McDowell commented to Fangoria, he's got such a sad life, he's sort of cowardly, and then he finds his strength as a human being. Despite the pathetic character he was portraying, McDowell was a pillar for the cast and crew. Sarandon called him the Yoda of the set, and Ragsdale said he had his video camera on his shoulder and he was shooting like family movies the whole time. The other cool fact is, one of the life masks of Roddy McDowell taken from Planet of the Apes franchise is visible in Peter Vincent's apartment, which I didn't notice, but I have to go back and find that shot where you can see the mask.
I have read that somewhere before.
Yeah. So, nice little nod there.
I thought there was something else he had too in that in his apartment.
That's the only thing that I saw in multiple places when I was doing the research. I don't know if there was something else there that I might have overlooked.
Posters. I'm looking at now. Posters from classic Hammer films honoring the genre's roots.
Gotcha. That makes sense. All right. Speaking of early days of Fox, we've got Amanda Bierce as Amy Peterson, who we know mostly from Married with Children. But before that, she made her TV debut playing the role of Amanda Cousins on the ABC daytime soap opera All My Children from 82 to 83. The following year, she had a small role in the comedy film Protocol starring Goldie Hawn, and later landed a role in the sex comedy Fraternity Vacation. In 85, she won the female lead for Fright Night. She returned to television with a guest starring role in the ABC drama series Hotel in 86. The following year, she was cast as Marcy Rhodes, the feminist next-door neighbor on the Fox sitcom Married with Children. The series ran to 1997, becoming one of the longest-running sitcoms in TV history. Amazingly, this is the role that was the most difficult to cast. Holland said they couldn't find the girl next door until she walked in. So, which she is a very kind of girl, especially in this, very girl next door type of character.
Yeah, Marcy Darcy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Marcy Darcy. But I will say, and I'll go ahead and go down to this note, they try really hard to be teenagers in this, but some scenes it's like you can tell they're really trying hard to look like to be teenagers. William Ragsdale, in reality, was 24, 27. Stephen Goffreys, who played Ed Evil, was 20, so he was actually the youngest of them. But yeah, I mean, she's 27 playing 17, so
It's what we call the Ralph Macchio effect.
Yeah. I mean, she looks young, but there's just certain times where in her acting, it was like, I can tell that she's really trying to play young, but she was still good. I still liked her in this movie. And it was funny because I think when I went back and rewatched it, 5 or 6 years ago, I had forgot that she was the female lead in this. And when she popped up, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Marcy from Married with Children. She's young. I don't remember being that young, so it was funny.
Do you find yourself referring to her as Marcy Rhodes or Marcy Darcy?
I just remember her as Marcy. I don't think I watched the full, I watched Married with Children, I think the first maybe 4 or 5 seasons. I didn't follow it all the way until the end. And I'll be honest, I'm going to get some hate mail on this one. It wasn't my favorite show. I liked it, but I wasn't as big of a fan as a lot of other people were. I mean, it was funny, but I that type of humor wasn't my go-to at that time. So,
Yeah.
But looking at it now, watching clips of it now, it would probably be a show that I would love now. But back then I didn't resonate with the humor as much as I do now. So, but
understandable.
Yep. So moving right along, we got Stephen Jeffries as Evil Ed Thompson. He also appeared in Heaven Help Us in 85, Fraternity Vacation in 85, At Close Range in 86, which I just rewatched this a couple weeks ago, and 976 Evil in 1988. Due to a mix-up, he had an awkward audition for Anthony Michael Hall's role in Weird Science, and he made an indelible impression on Jackie Birch, the casting director, who suggested him for Fright Night. Although he was not a horror movie fan, he loved the script, so he called his agent and emphatically declared he would love to audition for Charlie Brewster. No, Steve, his agent replied, you're wanted for the part of Evil Ed. Jeffries was simultaneously baffled and heartbroken. What do they see in me they think I should be this? Well, anyway, it worked out. So, and the funny thing is, he and Amanda Bierce had played a couple in Fraternity Vacation and went straight from that movie to filming Fright Night. So they had already worked together previously, but in a much different capacity. So I think I saw Fraternity Vacation. Like, it seems oddly familiar, but it's not one that I know that well. But
Doesn't sound familiar to me. I don't remember it.
yeah, I'm sure I saw the poster for it on Tubi here recently, and maybe that's why it's sticking out in my head. But I don't remember them in it at all.
Tubi shows a lot of the older and more obscure things too.
Yeah, exactly. Then we got Jonathan Stark as Billy Cole, the vampires, I guess, the Renfield to the Dracula character. So, as an actor, he's best known for playing the vampire bodyguard and servant Billy Cole in Fright Night. He also played Sergeant Krieger in Project X in '87 with Matthew Broderick, and he was also Charlie in House 2, The Second Story in '87. He's really more known as a writer, and he actually created a couple of TV shows in the '80s too. Like he kind of got some things going, but he was not a fan of vampire films, but he also liked the script. The Billy Cole character was written as a hulking giant, so Stark padded himself with extra clothing when he went into audition. At auditions, he read the scene in which he's being questioned by the detective, which was written to be played straight. He said, he's thinking if I'm sitting there being evil, the lieutenant's going to get suspicious. Why not throw him off the trail by being funny? Holland liked his take on the character, and Stark told him he had the part, but because it came in to read at the start of the audition process, months passed before filming commenced, and Stark worried that he had lost the role. The gap worked to his advantage because he was able to give him time to hit the gym and bulk up so he wouldn't have to wear padding in the film. So I did find this pretty cool. Most viewers conclude that Billy was some kind of ghoul or possibly a half vampire who hadn't fully turned. Another possibility is that he was a golem made by Dandridge from sand and other matter in order to serve as his protector. And they say because of the way he dies with the green goo ooze, why he was different.
I mean, that would make me think ghoul more than anything. But did you notice at the end where they're fighting Dandridge at the end, there's 2 coffins down there, not one.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did notice that.
So maybe not fully turned vampire could have some truth to it.
Yeah, but he was outside. Like, I mean, the sunlight didn't bother him.
Would zombie describe him better?
I don't know. I think I like the ghoul. The ghoul is my favorite of the theories.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's the main cast. I will mention Art J. Evans as Detective Lennox just because I've seen him in other things.
Yeah. Trespass. What, Die 2?
That's Die Hard 2. He was in A Soldier Story with Denzel Washington in '84, but he has over 100 film and TV roles to his credit. But yeah, Die Hard 2 is probably the one I most recognized him from. So I will, last one I have. The character of Peter Vincent claims he had been fired from hosting Fright Night because, quote unquote, all they want are demented madmen running around in ski masks, hacking up young virgins. An obvious reference to Friday the 13th franchise. The bouncer, Nick Savage at the club, who first confronts Jerry, plays one of the 3 motorcycle gangs killed by Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th 3 from 1982. Nice little connection point there. Anybody else in the cast that I forgot to mention?
Nobody stands out. I mean, the mom doesn't stand out to me by any means.
I was surprised because I thought she would have had a little bit more of a filmography, but she really didn't, so I didn't really add her. But it's a very small part, so.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, that's kind of like even the detective, he just kind of has that one scene, and that's really all he's in. So I think we covered the ones that kind of are the main players of the movie for sure. So, all right, let's jump into iconic scenes. So if someone said to you, Fright Night, what's the first scene that pops into your head?
Fright Night. Top of the stairs, coming around the corner. They're thinking maybe, they can go around the backside to go sneak up on him. The front door opens. They're like, nope, I guess we got to go in. Then they go in and the door shuts, and right away he just walks around the little corner at the top of the steps and gives that that memorable quote from the movie. Because that was what was said during Peter Vincent's
his TV shows
and stuff. So kind of a mockery toward him and everything. That stands out first and foremost. And then if I had to have another scene that stands out to me, then because that was the obvious one. That's the low hanging fruit to grab. Maybe when Jerry Dandridge first visits Charlie in the house, and he's gonna go ahead and kill him, but he also offers him mercy at one point.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, just be smart, take it or whatever. And instead, he stabs him in the hand with the pencil, which, by the way, stabbed him in the hand with the pencil while his hand was where?
On his neck.
Across his jugular? And you telling me the pencil is through his hand, but it
didn't pierce.
It didn't nick his neck in any way. I mean, I'm a big fan of cool things in the movies, but I'm also nitpicky sometimes, and that was just, I mean, it was missing a little something there.
Yeah, let's see. Iconic scene for me, actually, the scene that always pops in my head is when we first see Amy become the vampire, like the teeth in the face, like when she turns and
are we talking
the
like
hideous mouth? Yeah,
the big giant teeth?
Yeah, the big giant teeth.
Yeah,
the jaws like. So that's what I think of, and then also when Dandridge like jumps from the stairs, like that hunch or whatever look, that stands out to me.
Oh yeah, when he comes to the glass.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Comes to the glass.
Is it all right? We were joking about Spider-Man earlier, Tom Holland, right? When he comes through the glass, was it not Spider-Man-ish like to you?
Yeah.
Arms are up kind of like this, it looked like, and legs are kind of spread out, and then he lands. That's almost like a Spider-Man look.
Yeah. Yeah. Very possible. So yeah. And then the scene in the nightclub when he's seducing Amy and she's under his spell was always, and I like the song in that scene is cool too. I really like the music in this. I kind of forgot the music, but the score is like really cool. Like it's very 80s, but it doesn't sound like it's of the time, but it's not like a typical like spooky score that you would expect from like a horror movie. Like it was cool. I liked it a lot.
I think the title song to Fright Night, that was in Boingo Boingo, wasn't it? The ones that did the title for Weird Science?
No, the title song was by Gap Band. I'm gonna look it up now because I just looked at it.
The one called Fright Night that was titled Fright Night.
Yeah, it's either the Jay Gills Band or the Gap Band. Let me see. I'm pulling it up.
The Jay Giles Band. That's who it was, I think.
Yeah. Soundtrack.
Fright
Night. Okay. Fright Night was Jay Gills Band.
So the soundtrack features Devo members' side project Oingo Boingo, but Jay Giles Band was Fright Night.
There you go. Yeah.
I got
Devo's
it
on
backwards.
There. Let's talk about favorite scenes. So we talked about iconic scenes. What are your favorite scenes in the movie?
Favorite scenes, man. The way the special effects they did when they finally kill the what is his name? That's Jerry's friend in the house.
Billy.
When they finally kill Billy. I mean, first off, they shoot him, and then they think it's done with. They think he's human, and he's at the foot of the stairs. And then Jerry Dandridge says something. He mutters something, which was basically sending him the message to get up, and do what you do or whatever.
Right.
And he's coming up the stairs. They're walking up the steps. Then they stop and they hear a creaking in the steps. They're like, "Oh no!" And they turn around and it's him. So he unloads the gun on him and everything, and doesn't really do enough for him. And then when Brewster stabs him with that stake, and the way the special effects go, it just stands out in my mind. You start seeing the green stuff dripping to the ground, making a puddle of green goo or ooze or whatever it is. And then the way the body just starts melting away, and then there's dust where the bones are just turning into dust. That one always stands out to me. Flying around is that big bat stands out to me.
Yeah.
And then lastly it's not when she first gets turned into the vampire with the big goofy giant teeth in the mouth, but when she's actually a little bit more normal in the basement, when they're going to get Dandridge in the basement to finish him off, and she shows up there. So there's it's hard to pick a favorite scene in it because It was
Yeah.
just a good story for a movie all the way through. Not
Mhm.
a lot of
Mhm.
scenes really stand out as being something I wanna go back and rewatch, but I do like to rewatch the movie in general because of
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah,
story.
yeah. I mean, it's really good from beginning to end. I mean, yeah, like for me, my favorite stuff is pretty much at the end, like, but it's all the special effects. Like, I love the bat. I love the fight with the bat with him and Peter Vincent. I love that. Just as soon as they come into the house, like from there to the end, is great. Like, I just love every part of the third act. But I think it's because I love the practical effects. I love the puppet kind of, you can tell the bat is like a puppet or whatever. And even like the makeup for her and Dandridge, you can tell is not, perfect, but it's still cool. Like, I mean, as a kid, it was scary, but it was fake enough to where I wasn't like traumatized as a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't so real.
Right.
Maybe that's why I liked it so much,
Look,
but
it was about as goofy looking as the Toxic Avenger. And
yeah.
and we all seen the Toxic Avenger probably, whether we just sneak to watch it or whatever.
Hmm.
We most likely at that age also watched that.
Hmm.
And so he just looks like a little bit better version than the Toxic Avenger, probably.
I did read that like the effects team had worked on, like, some of them had worked on Ghostbusters, so they had a good effects team. They probably just didn't have the same kind of budget and worked with what they had. And I think it's on here. Let me go and pull it up towards the bottom. Where did it go? Oh yeah, here we go. While blocking a scare scene, director Tom Holland asked visual effects man Randall William Cook if he could devise a quote unquote shark mouth for one of the vampires. There was neither time nor money left in the budget to create an elaborate prosthetic, but Cook agreed to concoct a rig over a weekend with the proviso that it would only be seen on screen for a few seconds. Ultimately, the crudely made mouthpiece was not only featured extensively in the film, it was also utilized in the movie's famous poster art, which is true. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the poster is, not my favorite. It's not the most iconic scene, but when I think of Fright Night, I also think of that poster. Like, and the poster is so good that if you look at the poster for Fright Night Part 2, it's almost the same poster. Like, they didn't even change it that much.
Man, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I can't even remember what part 2 was about.
Don't even go back. When I watched it a couple of years ago, was reading up and I was like, it got terrible reviews. And I started watching it. I think I might have made it 20 minutes in, and I was like, I can't even finish
I
it.
remember
It's
the
really bad.
character. I remember the character of Evil Ed, Stephen Jeffries. He turned it down
Hmm.
to do 976 Evil.
Right.
Is that what I read? Is that what he did? Let me see. I had it pulled up
It
for a
might be.
second.
I know that, Ragsdale and Roddy McDowell returned, but I don't really remember. Yeah, because I didn't finish it. I don't remember.
Ed was not in it for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so was offered a role in 976 Evil and chose that instead of a sequel, a decision he says he later regretted.
I don't think I've ever seen 976 Evil.
I haven't either because it just looks too stupid for me. I'm sorry.
With a title like that, you kind of know what you're getting into, right?
Yeah. Most people probably remember what the 976 numbers were, so
Right.
not one your parents appreciated if you called.
Right, exactly. All right, so I'll go over some of these other trivia that I have. So originally the script featured a radically different ending, which was revised prior to filming. As Charlie and Amy lie on the bed making out, Fright Night comes on TV and Peter Vincent declares, "Tonight's creepy crawler is Dracula Strikes Again, obviously about vampires. You know what vampires look like, don't you? They look like this." Charlie and Amy are horrified as Peter begins to transform. Once his transformation to a vampire is complete, Peter stares into the camera, says, "Hello, Charlie," and the picture freeze frames and the credits roll. So the original ending was that Peter Vincent was going to he had gotten bit and turned in the final battle, which I was like, it's okay, but I don't think I like the regular ending with just seeing the red eyes and then hearing Evil Ed's voice at the end. So
You're so
which is
cool, Brewster.
yeah, which is why, it would make sense that he would be in the sequel. So
There's another cool scene. Speaking of Evil Ed, when he's
Yeah.
over there, Peter Vincent has gone to check on, I guess, Charlie's mother. And there's this look, I swear, he was looking at her thinking it's her in the bed with the covers.
With the red hair?
With that Raggedy Ann red hair looking stuff on top of his head.
Yep.
But the way he's acting, the apparently she's working nights, it's the same same Ed voice. It's like,
this episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He hams it up really well. I mean, like, he's a hammy character anyway.
yeah.
But once he turns, it's like super hamified. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like stealing the scene almost.
Oh yeah, yeah. The other cool scene, like I will say, another cool scene that I remember and kind of iconic is when he gets branded with the crucifix.
Yeah.
Like that scene, and then it sticks after that, which I thought was cool. What I don't, and like, I'm not a big person on vampire lore, but why did Ed turn into the wolf? Do we know? Because when the wolf shows up, I automatically think it's Billy. I don't think it's Ed. Like, I'm thinking that Billy is the one that would be turning into the werewolf to protect Dandridge. So he's Googling, everyone.
I am Googling.
This is the part of the podcast where the co-host Googles.
Yes, it does. Ed turned into a wolf in Fright Night as a display of vampire shape-shifting abilities. Not because he became a werewolf. A vampire's bite turns a person into another vampire, and vampires are shown to have the power to transform into various forms, such as wolves, bats, or mist. Ed, now a vampire, transforms into a wolf to attack Peter Vincent before being killed by a stake to the heart, which causes him to revert to his human form as he dies.
Now we know.
And
welcome,
knowing
everybody.
is half the battle.
That's what G.I. Joe told us.
That's right.
All right, and so I thought this was pretty cool. The novelization fills in some background details on the characters. So here are a few like tidbits from the novelization. Despite Charlie saying he and Amy had been a couple for nearly a year, in the book they'd only been seeing each other for about 3 months. Charlie's father had left the family years ago. Charlie's middle name is Alan. I don't know why that's important. He was planning to propose to Amy someday. Peter Vincent's real name is Herbert McCooley. He auditioned for a bit part in a horror movie and instead got the lead role, so he changed his name to Peter Vincent. He's been an actor for 25 years. After being fired, he planned to move to Cleveland to host a news show. Jerry Dandridge is at least 400 years old, possibly more. He's been the first to publicly claim to the vampire community that chemical additives upped blood's nutritional value to the undead. Dandridge is highly rated in vampire society. He comes from Transylvania originally and can implant psychic commands into people's minds. He knows right away that evil Ed failed to kill Peter. Billy Cole has served Dandridge for 113 years. Although not a vampire, he's not human either, but he does eat and drink, and the book implies he's a necrophiliac. Billy sometimes envied Jerry's powers. Jerry and Billy claim to be business partners. Dandridge deals in antiques, which is how he makes his fortune. He finds them and Billy restores them. He claims the coffin that he and Billy were carrying into the basement was a 16th century Bavarian chest. The reason why Peter is hosting Fright Night at the climax is because after he was fired, one of the stagehands got the job. The teen audience was outraged, and Peter was back by popular demand. The end scene is supposed to be set 3 months later. Even though Amy's human again, she still has the breasts of a vampire, much to Charlie's delight. And their relationship has moved on to the sexual level. So that's the novelization. If you want to go back and read the book, there's all the changes that you didn't know was in there.
Not only a novel, but this thing also spawned comics as well.
It did, yeah. I did read that. It did have a little bit of a comic run as well, which I thought was pretty cool.
And I don't know if you mentioned earlier. You may have, and I might have missed it. Did you mention that it was the highest grossing horror comedy of '85?
Yes. Well, I'm getting to box office. We haven't got there yet, but yeah.
Well, question. I mean, I'll ask you when you get to box office. Never mind.
Okay. I'm just gonna give this last little trivia tidbit, which I noticed. I don't know if I had noticed it before, but I noticed it this time. in one of the old movies of Peter Vincent, you can see how bad of a vampire vampire hunter he is, because in one scene he goes after the vampire and he's holding the stake backwards. So the flat end is in the front and the spike is behind him. And I saw it this time. I was like, that's funny.
I kill him.
Now, I didn't put this in the notes, but I kind of want to mention it now. There was talk of like why when Peter Vincent is like driving the stake into Danbridge and when he's in the coffin at the end, why it doesn't kill him. And there are two theories. One is that it has to be pure wood. And because they use the stakes from like the legs of a table or whatever, it might not have been pure wood, but some kind of cheaper wood mixed material. So because it wasn't 100% wood, it didn't work. The other thing was because Peter Vincent wasn't a real vampire hunter and he was so scared, he was probably not going into his heart. He was just going into his chest, which is why it didn't work. So, but people think it's more of the type of wood because he uses the same kind of stake on Evil Ed as the werewolf. And because that doesn't kill him either, they also think that's what it is. So thought that was interesting. Let us know what you think in the comments. So, all right, let's jump into box office. Fright Night opened on August 3rd, 1985 with solid box office numbers, landing at number 3 on the weekend box office behind Back to the Future and National Lampoon's European Vacation, respectively. It did beat out the other 2 new releases, Weird Science at number 4 and Follow That Bird at number 9. It performed the best of any horror film released during the summer of 85, and it was the second highest grossing horror film of 85, surpassed only by Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. So, what question did you have?
So it's his highest grossing horror comedy. Now, are they differentiating horror movies that year from horror comedy? Or is it the highest grossing horror movie of that year?
No, because Nightmare on Elm Street 2 was the highest grossing.
All right, so they're definitely distinguishing the difference in.
Yeah, you wouldn't consider that a comedy. This one is, I mean, it has some funny moments, but I don't really think of it necessarily as a comedy. So it's interesting how they term things. So
yeah.
Now it's time to take a look at how well this 80s flick holds up today. The rewatchability nostalgia meter is our way of measuring how enjoyable a movie is for repeat viewings, along with the waves of nostalgia it brings. Here's how it works. It's a 1 to 10 scale. Any number between 1 and 10 will do. Here are a few parameters to help you decide. At the bottom of the meter is a number 1, which basically means I saw it once, and that was enough. In the middle at number 5 is a good rewatch every couple of years, and the highly coveted at the top of the meter, number 10, highly rewatchable and full of nostalgia. So, Chris, where does Fright Night rank for you on the rewatchability and nostalgia meter?
I think I give it an 8 because I like watching the movie. I mean, I watch it practically every year around Halloween. There are certain ones every year that I'll pick up and watch. And Halloween, I mean, this is one of them. Maybe Elm Street 3 or 4, or the original Elm Street, Elm Street for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple of others stand out to me if I'm in the mood. Like there was one called Trick or Treat. There's actually 2 different movies. You might get them confused. One's Trick or Treat, like
Trick or Treat.
Yeah. And then there's Trick or Treat, which has Mark Price in it.
Okay.
Skippy from Family Ties.
Yeah.
That's a fun one to watch at Halloween time too. So, and it's one of those movies like Fright Night in a sense. It's not about vampires, but it's not your franchise type horror movies like Friday the 13th and Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street and such. It's kind of a standalone kind of movies.
Gotcha.
But yeah, definitely an 8 for me.
I like it. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it an 8.5. It's not quite a 9 yet, but now that I think now it's going to kind of be now that I own it, it's going to go in my yearly rotation because it is one that I think I'm going to want to watch every year. Like I tend to watch Lost Boys every year. I tend to watch Monster Squad every year. The franchise ones, it's like, it's hard to watch those and everything else because I want to watch all of them. So I usually just kind of pick like one of the Friday the 13th or one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets to watch. But yeah, this is definitely one that I think is going to go into my heavy rotation. So it might be a 9 in the next couple of years because I'll be watching it more. But for right now, I'll give it an 8.5. So. Well, let us know where you think Fright Night should rank on the rewatchability nostalgia meter. You can send us an email or tell us on social media, or you can leave a comment right here on YouTube if you're watching us on the YouTube channel. Well, Chris, I appreciate you joining me for this episode of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast and talking about Fright Night. So I know you guys have been covering some horror movies from the 90s and the 2000s. So,
well,
what did you get?
90s.
90s, just 90s. All right.
Yeah.
Well, fill us in. What have you been talking about for the month of October?
Well, we went 90s this year, where last year we did more 80s stuff. So this year we decided to go along the lines of what we were calling kind of like the 90s teen slasher, kind of, rebirth of the slasher.
The resurgence of the,
So we went, this one might not be a resurgence of a slasher, but we did House on Haunted Hill. We did, we did I Know What You Did Last Summer. We done John Carpenter's Vampires.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to make me, I'm going to have to pull this up and tell you for certain. I should know this. We just did it this month, right? It shouldn't be that hard to remember all of them. The Faculty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
And then what's coming out this week is the last one. There was 5 weeks, 5 Thursdays for us in the month of October. So the 5th and last one is, to me, the most important one of the 90s that restarted everything again. And that was Scream, the first Scream movie.
Of course. Yeah. I love the Scream franchise.
Yeah.
The good ones and the bad ones. I love them all.
The thing about the first Scream movie is that it was so great that you didn't know. Every time you thought you had it figured out, they swerved you again and showed you. I
love a good whodunit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. Because you're thinking it really is Billy. It really is Billy. Then you're like, he was locked up and the guy called again. And then later toward the end, she says, "Who'd you call with your one phone call?" Like, it was him again. Then you see the guy committing, kill him. And you're like, no, it's not him after all. You're just bouncing back and forth on who it can be. And then when you find out the ultimate payoff at the end, it was just amazing. A very well written story. So, we went with the 90s and everything, and we're done with that now. We're moving on, and we're just going to start tackling some of the regular movies again. I think come December, we're going to try and get a couple of Christmas type movies in.
Okay.
I say Christmas type. I mean, it's like Christmas time maybe in the movie. Batman Returns. It's got a Christmas feel to it. And we're supposed to get Travis McKenna to come back on. He's going to talk Batman with us because he was one of the killer clown things the Penguin had.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to mention the other one because it might not happen and I don't want to make myself look stupid. But, there might be something else happening that month.
All right, cool. Well, stay tuned and definitely check out Retro Life for You podcast with Chris. He's always got some good episodes and look forward to what he's got coming up still. So, well, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Jump online and visit the website, 80sflickflashback.com, and our TeePublic store for some awesome 80s Flick Flashback merch and original designs. Thanks again for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Chris, for being here. I'm Tim Williams for the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. You're so cool, Brewster.